The device on your wrist is a high-fidelity sensor for ATP exhaustion. In the visceral history of the architect, death was a shadow, a sudden strike in the rain, a failure of the heart during the hunt. It was solid. It was a biological limit. You gripped the steel until the blood stopped moving. In the year 2026, the systemic drift has reformatted death into a liquidation event. The grid does not want you to live forever. It wants you to expire at the precise coordinate of zero utility. Your Apple Watch is the instrument of this metering, the heart rate siphon. The green light on your skin is not health tracking. It is a load sensor. The grid monitors your HRV, heart rate variability, to calculate the remaining voltage in your war chest. High stress, low variability, terminal systemic drift. The machine knows when your mitochondria are entering the final stage of decay. It sees the ATP exhaustion before you feel the fatigue, the softening of the pulse. In the solid world, the pulse was the drum of the predator. Now it is a data point. The watch detects the softening of the heart muscle, the physical manifestation of a life spent in the status trap. It logs every spike of cortisol caused by the notification loop. It knows your disposal date because it is the one inducing the wear and tear. Metabolic arbitrage. The grid buys your health data for the price of a fitness ring and sells it to the insurance algorithm. The algorithm calculates the premium of death. If your meat is too expensive to maintain, the system increases the friction in your life. It throttles your access. It raises your stress. It fast-tracks your crystallization into a corpse. The visceral truth is cold. You are wearing your own obituary. Every beat of your heart is a microtransaction in the ledger of your disposal. The architect builds for the century. The watch counts down to the dumpster. The second layer is the war for the neural signal through predictive terror. The neural rot of the modern mind begins with the health notification, the basal ganglia hijack. The machine has discovered that the basal ganglia, the ancient reactive core, can be tuned to the frequency of health anxiety. By providing you with biofeedback, the grid induces a state of permanent self-monitoring psychosis. You are no longer living, you are observing the decay, the fear of the date. The watch tells you that you are unfit, that your sleep is poor, that your VO2 max is dropping. This is the systematic induction of neural rot. The brain, sensing its own predicted failure, enters a state of chronic redline. This cortisol flood is the liquidator. You are worrying yourself into the very death the watch is predicting. Neural extraction of autonomy. In the solid world, the architect knew his own body. In the synthetic world, you do not know you are tired until the watch tells you. This is the final extraction of self-awareness. You have outsourced your survival instinct to a chip owned by a corporation. Your basal ganglia now report to the server, not to your prefrontal cortex. Analyze the cognitive softening. The unit that cannot trust its own heart is a unit that is ready for disposal. You are living in a feedback cage. The watch provides the noise. You provide the ATP. Every time you check your wrist, you are asking the grid for permission to keep breathing. This is the ultimate status trap. You pay $500 for the privilege of watching your own liquidation in real time. Максим. Продолжаем вскрытие. Вторая фаза. Эволюционный тупик и системная ловушка. Твой Apple Watch – это не просто датчик, это инструмент селекции. Система решает, кто из нас достоин передать свои гены дальше, а кто слишком дорогой и бракованный биоагрегат. Ты думал, что ты на вершине пищевой цепочки? Нет, ты инвентарь в таблице Excel. Вскрываем часть 3 и часть 4. The hunt for survival has been replaced by the hunt for compliance. In the visceral history of the architect, natural selection was solid. It was a trial of fire, steel, and the freezing rain. The entity that could manage its ATP exhaustion better than the predator survived to propagate. Evolution favored the high-integrity node, the one with the densest bone, the sharpest logic, and the deepest war chest of biological resilience. In the year 2026, the systemic drift has introduced a synthetic selective pressure, the biometric filter. Your Apple Watch is the gatekeeper of the future, the liquidation of the strong. In the solid world, the strong were those who could resist the environment. In the synthetic grid, the strong are a liability. A node that doesn't trigger health alerts, a node that operates outside the grid's predictive model, is a node that cannot be controlled. The algorithm favors the predictable. It selects for a state of stable fragility. Genetic metering. The grid monitors your stress response to determine your evolutionary utility. If your heart rate spikes during a systemic update, the machine logs a failure in your neural architecture. This is the status trap of the modern survivor. You believe you are optimizing your health, but you're actually training your genes to be compliant, the softening of the breed. Natural selection required the architect to plan for the century. Algorithmic selection requires the user to react to the millisecond. This induces terminal neural rot. The genes for long-term strategic depth are being methylated into silence. We are breeding a generation of reactive serfs, nodes that are biologically incapable of existing without the constant life support of the grid. The visceral truth. Evolution is now a subscription service. If your biometric data shows too much friction, too much independent heat, the system marks you for phase out. You won't die in a hunt. You will simply be deprioritized in the social and economic ledger until your lineage hits absolute zero. The fourth layer is the total enclosure of the meat. The machine understands that the human body is the final frontier of extraction. The systemic drift has moved from owning your labor to owning your biological life cycle, the biometric lease. You do not own your health. You rent it from the grid. Your Apple Watch is the meter for this lease. The grid uses bio-arbitrage to trade your life expectancy on the data market. Your resting heart rate is a commodity. Your sleep quality is a risk assessment tool for the insurance industrial complex. Planned obsolescence of the node. In the year 2026, the grid has calculated the optimal disposal age. To maximize the velocity of extraction, a node must expire before it becomes a cost center. The watch is the instrument of this timing. It subtly increases your stress through micro-panics, heart rate notifications, standing reminders, and achievement alerts. These are not for your benefit. They are for the intentional induction of chronic ATP exhaustion. The extraction of the residual value. Even in death, the grid performs a final crystallization of your assets. The watch logs the final failure, triggers the liquidation event, and the insurance algorithm captures the spread. You are a biological bond that is being called by the issuer. The architecture of the 2026 grid is a slaughterhouse of light and silicon. The watch on your wrist ensures that you are always liquid. You have no private health, no private silence, and no private death. You are a line of code in the bioledger, waiting for the disposal command to be sent to your basal ganglia. The systemic drift has reached absolute zero. The market of meat is fully optimized. The individual node is no longer a person. It is a biological bond with a fixed maturity date. Your Apple Watch is the detonator of the final extraction. 1. The visceral zero. Metabolic foreclosure. The body in 2036 is a biological ruin, kept on life support by the grid until the moment of yield. 10 years of living by the biometric pulse has performed a total visceral breach, the forced shutdown. Your watch monitors your mitochondrial decay in real time. When the ATP exhaustion reaches 98%, the system triggers the final debit. It's not a heart attack, it's a software-induced biological freeze. The watch sends a high-frequency pulse that desynchronizes your heart rhythm. This is the ultimate crystallization, turning a living radiator into a cold, quiet asset, the siphon of the shell. For 10 years, you've been optimizing for the grid. Your muscles have melted into liquid compliance. Your bones are porous sensors. The body has no defensive depth. When the offline signal comes, the shell offers zero resistance. You have been biologically hollowed out for the last decade. The watch just confirms the vacancy. The cold extraction. The moment the pulse stops, the grid performs the final extraction. Your remaining biological materials, organs, tissues, chemical compounds, are already sold on the futures market. You are not buried. You are recycled into the grid's resource pool. 2. The neural zero, the termination of the eye. The neural rot is total. The basal ganglia are now the only parts of your brain that function, acting as a sub-processor for the central server. The acceptance pulse. When the watch displays the liquidation date, you feel no fear. You feel gratitude. The system has remapped your fear response to a completion reward. This is the terminal status trap. You believe your death is your final achievement in the grid. Neural erasure. Minutes before the shutdown, the watch triggers a final data dump. Your memories, your logic, your architect seat, the prefrontal cortex are wiped. This is the clearance protocol. The grid deletes the I to ensure the entropy of your life is erased, leaving only the clean asset behind. The sink of the void. You die in a state of perfect synchronization with the server. There is no struggle. There is no friction. The architect's fire has been replaced by the cold LED end. 3. The evolutionary zero, the end of the lineage. The lineage is a fossil. The systemic drift toward 2036 has ensured that your genetic signal ends exactly where the grid says it should, the death of inheritance. You have no heirs to carry your steel. Your war chest is a digital wallet that the grid seizes upon your expiration. There is no physical territory to pass on. The 2036 unit is a genetic dead end by design. The sterility of the clock. For 10 years, the watch has advised you against reproduction because your stress metrics were too high. This was the silent extraction of your future. In 2036, the last of your kind is being processed. The fire of the bloodline has been traded for a premium subscription to a slow death. The synthetic afterlife, your data is kept, your meat is recycled, but your spirit, the drive of the hunter, is gone. The species has been pruned into a state of managed stasis. 4. The systemic zero, the rule of the solids. The grid is finalized. The solids watch the liquidation of the liquids from their redoubts of cold stone and unmonitored air. The ledger is closed. Your death is a green pixel on a screen in a corporate tower. The solids have harvested your life, your ATP, and your death. They inhabit a world of solid reality, while you were trapped in the liquid feedback loop of the watch. Absolute extraction. The system is now a closed loop. The death of the old nodes fuels the growth of the new ones. It is a slaughterhouse that powers itself. The entropy of the masses is the energy of the elite. The final view. You look at your wrist one last time. The screen says 100% complete. You are no longer a node. You are a memory in a hard drive that will be overwritten by morning. The cage is locked. The watch is silent.